Greetings, weary travelers, and let's do that again. Greetings, weary travelers and fellow story gremlins. Welcome back, or welcome to, the Reaction Sleepover. This is the series where we get cozy and we react to stuff. We have a fun little assortment of stories and then an update at the end, so stay tuned for that. If you have any stories like these ones, or any others that you think would be fun for me to read and for us to chat about, you can either email me, or there's links below in the description where you can submit them. So without further ado, grab your cozies and snackies, and let's head on into it. Am I the a-hole for not inviting my sister to my wedding after she tried to sabotage my relationship? Huh? From just the title alone, I am fascinated to find out how you could be the a-hole. I, 27 female, am getting married in 2 months to my fiance, Jake, 29 male. We've been together for 5 years and I couldn't be happier. However, my relationship with my sister, Lily, 25 female, has been rocky for the past year. Because one can never have peace. Here's some background. Growing up, Lily and I were very close. She's always been the life of the party, charming, and the center of attention. I've always been more introverted and happy to let her shine. When Jake and I started dating, Lily was thrilled and we all got along great. A year ago, things started to change. Because every full moon, she turns into a oh wait, not that kind of story. Jake got a promotion at work, which allowed us to buy a house. That's awesome. I wish. This seemed to trigger something in Lily. She started making snide comments about how I was lucky to have found Jake and how I wouldn't have been able to afford the house on my own. Excuse me? Like, sure, I wouldn't be able to afford it right now. And yeah, the state of our economy, maybe I would never be able to afford it, but you don't gotta say it like that. I tried to brush it off, thinking she was just having a rough time. Then, because too good to be true, at a family gathering, Lily got drunk and told everyone that Jake had hit on her when we first started dating. Oof. Jake was mortified and denied it immediately. I was shocked and didn't know what to think. Later, Lily apologized, saying she was drunk and it was just a joke. Jake assured me it never happened and I believed him. If he is telling the truth, poor guy. That is so, like, no! Desist to this blasphemy! Since then, Lily has made several attempts to undermine back, Lily, back! Since then, Lily has made several attempts to undermine my relationship with Jake. Not today, madam. You cannot split the Finn and Jake adventures. She would accidentally send me texts meant for her friends saying things like, Jake isn't even that great, and she doesn't deserve him. Wait, huh? So you're saying Jake isn't even that great, but then you're also saying she doesn't deserve him? Unless that's a typo, it's like, make up your mind, woman. Yes, accidentally sending me texts. Oh, it's like the reverse of when you send a screenshot to the wrong person. You send a screenshot to the very person you took the screenshot of. She's like the parallel universe of that. She meant to do it. That's shady. When your friend has bad vibes, all the red flags, it's time to get some new besties. And maybe she could go to therapy. Because you can be better than this. It's one thing to see someone else be living a happy relationship, and it's like, yeah, I want that. Feeling that's totally fine, but not taking it to the level of trying to sabotage it because of such intense jealousy. Just go live your life. Go find something that makes you that happy. You can do it. You don't have to tear your friend down to make that happen. It became clear she was trying to sabotage us. She has become the Joker of our relationship. When I announced our engagement, Lily's reaction was lukewarm at best. Yay. She didn't offer to help with wedding planning and continued to make hurtful comments. It's okay if you're feeling unhappy. Stop taking it out on her. The final straw came last month when I found out she told our mutual friends that Jake was only marrying me for my money. Lily, no! Got something in my eye. It's tears for your buffoonery. Which is laughable because Jake makes more than I do. Brother. Man, the insecurity is just bubbling over. I decided enough was enough and told Lily she was no longer invited to the wedding. She burst into tears, saying I was overreacting and that she was just trying to protect me. My parents are now involved, saying I should forgive her because family is everything. Oh wait, this isn't a friend? Oh, it's our sister! Oh, I'm stupid. I forgot it was her sister. I was like, oh, it's her friend. Oh, that's even worse. Yes, family is so important. So important that you shouldn't take it for granted and treat your family members horribly. Actions have consequences. They want me to re-invite her and keep the peace, but I feel like I need to stand my ground. Am I the a-hole for not inviting my sister to my wedding after she tried to sabotage my relationship? Edit, thank you for all your kind replies and upvotes. I promise to update you guys as soon as something else involving this happens. Yeah, no. Sounds like you put up some very needed boundaries. I'm sorry you've had to deal with that. Not the crocodile tears. Such a prime example in you can't just say things and then expect no consequences. You can't expect no consequences not to happen. It is so understandable, totally fine to be feeling unhappy with like your life or the state of your relationships or lack thereof. Fine. It's okay. Don't take it out on your family. Not only are you not the a-hole, you handled that very well. Put up some boundaries. Like, hey, if you're gonna act like this, you can't come because, like, you can't disrespect my relationship like this. And hopefully they'll learn, but you know, that's up to them. Entitled parent thinks I owe her my seat because she didn't book a ticket for her child. Go on. This was a couple years ago, but I can't get it out of my head, so I thought I'd share here. Welcome. Okay, to start with the story, my family lived across the country back then, so I would usually buy a flight to get there. Well, this was during the holidays, so everything was backed up and there was a lot of storms. So when I got to my first layover, my flight was canceled. No! 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 And they couldn't get in their system to get me a hotel, so I slept on the airport floor that night, clutching all my bags. Not only would it be so disgusting to have to sleep on you couldn't even find a chair, you had to sleep on the nasty floor, having to clutch all your bags because, like, I wouldn't trust anyone in the airport. I have only missed a flight one time in my life, and they were so nice. It was like New Year's, and they were like, oh, here's a new flight. We're like, you angel sent from above. But yeah, I've never had to like spend the night at an airport. Oh, that sucks. Because at least, that's even worse if you're alone. Because at least if you have like a couple more people, like you can keep watch over the fire pit. No one steal our resources. Anytime anyone gets near, you do that like red panda, like stand up real tall. Get away from my peanuts and coffee. By the time I got onto the plane, I'd spent 24 hours in the airport. Even just like the 1 or 2 that no, that's a lie. At least 3 to 5 that you're there at the airport waiting for your flight. Even just that is the worst. The absolute trauma you'll come away with after 24 hours. Luckily for this flight, I had booked first class. Ooh, fancy. So I get on the plane and get comfy, and I'm just so happy that I'll be home soon after the last couple days I had. When a really nice flight attendant comes over and points to the empty seat next to me and mine, and tells me a mother forgot to book her toddler a ticket and she was wondering if they could take my seat. In the empty seat next to me, I told her that I'm sorry, but I've had a really long day and I paid extra for this. I would like to stay. The flight attendant was very nice and said no problem, but she let the woman come sit in the empty seat next to me with her toddler on her lap. She immediately looks at me with a scowl and says, I can't believe you wouldn't trade your seat for a kid. And simply tell her, ma'am, I paid extra for the seat and you should have booked him a ticket. This isn't my fault. Then she keeps going off saying things under breath and to her toddler that I can't hear her. She's just straight saying to her toddler, this person's stupid. And you're like, you know I can hear you, right? This argument is always so interesting. I've seen a lot of people like, you know, I'm kind of both sides, like, oh, like you should just give up the seat. And then other people are like, well, it's not my problem that she didn't book the ticket. I feel like I lean more to the side of like, she didn't book the ticket. That's not this person's fault. You know, like it's fine to be frustrated by the situation. Like, you know, things happen, you forget stuff, but like don't take it out on a stranger. And then she tells her kid to make the most noise he can do whatever he wants. Oh my gosh, that's weird to say normally. Dude, that's not okay to do anywhere. Sure, sometimes kids get loud and, you know, they're kids, they're still trying to figure out how to regulate themselves, right? So it's your job to help them do that, not say, well, little Billy, anything's fair game, just go buck wild. Like, no, that's not how this works. And she keeps saying things to me and I can't believe this entitled woman. I finally lash out and said, will you shut the F up? I'm not proud of myself for this, but with the last couple of days I didn't care anymore. But my common sense came back and I apologized for swearing in front of her kid, even though I heard her call me a B word and many other words. I appreciate this part because it's like, yeah, even though you were exhausted, it's like, oh, I just couldn't take it anymore. You still went back to apologize, which was the right thing to do because, like, you know, we all get overwhelmed sometimes. And sometimes you lash out and it just comes out, right? We're only human. But like what's important, and I think what really shows your character is what you do after that. And the fact that you apologize, like, even though this woman's being a turd, still like choosing to be the bigger person, be like, you know what, I'm sorry, that was uncalled for. Sure would be great if she showed the same courtesy. Again, the women? Did she start duplicating? This is what you get for not giving my child your seat. The woman wouldn't shut up. Finally, my savior came. That really nice flight attendant came over and bent down to the woman's level and said, ma'am, You were lucky to be able to switch seats, and all I've heard from you since you switched is you threatening this woman and telling your child to be noisy. This plane hasn't left yet, and we have no problem kicking you off this flight. And if you continue to do this, well, we're in the air, you will be banned. What do you mean? Do you just kick her off? Here's your... I almost said life vest. That's not... Hope you land in the water, sweetie. What is it called? Parachute. Here's your parachute. Good luck. I couldn't help but smile. She finally shut up, and I was so glad I had downloaded Sex Life on Netflix so I could finish my steamy show right in front of her. I appreciate that flight attendant. That was handled so well. Because that's the thing with things like this, like that whole story of, oh, if someone wants to like switch seats with you, it's like you can ask, but if they say no, that's that. You're not entitled to anything after that. It would be a much different story if a person was like, yeah, sure, and then later they're like, I changed my mind. Like, then you would be entitled to be like, no, like, this is my seat now, right? But this is not that. But yeah, it's like, you can ask, that's totally fine. But then after that, you're not entitled to things. Be respectful. Edit. For people asking, I'm assuming the child was under the age of 2, was just a big baby. If your child is under 2, you can fly with them on your lap instead of buying them a seat ticket. I'm assuming this is what the woman did and was hoping she'd get an extra seat. Oh, scamming, huh? Edit 2, for those asking, I'm guessing most people on the plane came from a canceled flights, as well as the plane was smaller than the last plane I was originally supposed to go on. I don't know if that was the reason if she needed a seat for a kid or not. I don't know why they didn't just switch the grandma to first class, but I'm guessing the flight attendant asked if one of them wanted to switch, and the mom was the one who took the opportunity. Sweet grandma was like, okay. That grandma may have been the sweetest person on earth. You could have had a wonderful conversation about her life. Again, I don't know if this was the thought process, but it makes the most sense to me. We're not entitled to things. Especially in situations like that, it's good to ask. But then, if they say no, you respect the no. No is a full sentence. I certainly cannot blame you, especially with how exhausted you must have been for feeling some satisfaction at her being put in her place. Quite respectfully, might I add. Man, I cannot imagine the amount of things that flight attendants deal with. Anyone in any service, like service work, it's like, why do they have to deal with so much? It's literally in the trenches constantly. That's why whenever I'm around any service care worker, I try to be as nice as possible because I cannot imagine all of the stupidity they deal with on a daily basis. This is from the subreddit Tragedy. I guess it's about, I thought it was kind of funny, like unfortunate names kind of thing, I guess. The story's called When I Was a Cake Decorator. Y'all reminded me of another tragedy I ran into years ago. I worked at a bakery for about 6 years, and I saw my fair share of names that basically made it so that even if your name was Bob, we were going to ask you how you spell it. B-A-U-B-E-I, for some reason. The I is silent, and so will you be if you say anything about my name. People would sometimes take offense to this, claiming we were profiling them or belittling them for the spelling choice, but trust me, it was necessary. Plus, if you asked everybody, it's like, no, this is just something, this is just something we do now. One day, a father came into the bakery to order a birthday cake for his daughter on his wife's behalf. I went through the usual series of questions, asking the date and time of pickup, the details of the cake, decorations, and then we got to the message that would be piped onto the cake. He said, happy birthday, and what I assumed would either be Lay or Lee. But he verbalized Lee, so I'd be using the shortest form of spelling for a portion of the story. I asked how he spelled it. He paused, and then asked me to give him a moment to call his wife to clarify all that. Yikes. For his daughter? Oh my. His wife immediately gave an attitude, assuming he was being incompetent. He simply said, she just wants to know how to spell Lee's name. His wife snapped back, what do you mean she wants to know how to spell Lee? He has her on speaker. Everyone around is so uncomfortable. But I don't think she realizes this. But then I go on to say, well, is it L-E-E or is it L-E-I-G-H? I almost wasn't able to say the letter I for some reason. The woman then says in a more agitated tone, what is she, a word we don't say? It's L-I-E-G-H. Lady. Lady. First of all, we don't use that word in our bakery. Oh, right. I thought you meant Lee. We don't use the word lay or Lee. I don't know. We don't use that word here. It's like the kind of thing someone had a breakup with someone with that name, so we don't say it here. Had you been inside the building, you would have been kicked out immediately. You are talking to someone who was a spelling bee nerd growing up. I can still quickly blurt out the spelling to most words. I was the unofficial spell check for the bakery. Not to brag. I write people's names on cakes all day, every day. I wonder if that would drive you a little insane at some point. Probably some like names or words, just especially like happy birthday, they just don't even look like words anymore. You know, like when you say a word over and over again, it just doesn't even sound like anything after that. Only imagine. Happy birthday to Lee. At this point, I could type faster than I could write with a pen. I've piped in nearly a dozen languages. That's cool. And I've left many surprised when I asked if my way of spelling their name was the way they spell it. When you Google Lee, is it Lay? Lee? I guess if they're saying Lee, there's Lee. Lee. Lay? Google will be like, did you mean Lee? Granted, it's not the worst unique spelling of a name, but it's close enough that it bugs me. It's like being offended when you name your kid Mike, and it's pronounced just like Mike. So everyone assumes it's Mike. One day the girl's friends are going to think her name's a typo. They should swap out the H with the E, and then they can refer to their daughter as my liege. Yes! And now, we have an update by our lovely regular season sector. And I'll link the stories to these updates if you haven't... Am I casting a spell? If you happen to not have watched those videos yet, I'll link them as they come. Hello again. This might be the last I submit for a bit, but I wanted to clarify and add updates for some of the past stories I posted. Story 1, the book. So this one is a clarification and update. So what led me to checking out the romance book was I love science, and the title of the book had chemistry in the title, so I thought, oh, this is a chemistry sci-fi novel, not romance chemistry. Not that kind of chemistry, pal. It'd be funny if you, like, got more into, like, romance novels, and this book was the reason. And now for the update. So after that whole debacle of me reading romance, I, as a way of saying, up yours to the teacher, I continued to read romance books and novels out of spite. But also because I started loving the genre, I at one time shamefully stuck my nose up at. That is so cool. Honestly, there are some pretty good, like, romance books out there. Although, honestly, I don't think I myself have really read very much. Mostly just because I always read, like, fantasy, and there was usually romance in it, but it was more about the story happening. And then the romance was like, a little ad. That is so funny. I love that. I hope you still like them to this day. But then until now, everything I've read had some form of romance, that it's even impacted how I write, hence why the credit is not the Twitch. And to go along with that news, I am currently writing something... Huh? I want to read it! But anywho, just says it so casually, like, bruh. Let me know if I can read that at some point. I would love to. Story 2. The Snowballs. The only clarification on details I forgot to add were this town I lived in was a major high school football town. A lot of the football dads. Like when the two high schools in town face each other and people gamble on the teams. I was imagining it's like two businesses that are across from each other. So every time the students pass by, they just glare at each other. Chipmunks are better than the weasels. Every time they walk out of class, you just see them going like this at each other. The two high schools in town face each other, people gamble on the teams, which is why the athletes were treated like gods. And the musicians are always treated as the court jesters. Which honestly, with our personality, is usually true anyway. And the second one is Lola, fake name for friend, was allowed to be sent back to class before we were threatened with suspension and expulsion. Story 3, ADHD and autopilot. So I tried to remember all the details, but there was one time I just remembered a bit ago, and it was when they gave up on me, I also gave up on them. Can't blame you, they were thoroughly failing you. And it was 6 teachers, even though I had art, Spanish, and physical education, also for classes, but the teachers are like, we only have the teachers from the classes that matter. Which ones matter? It's probably not music education, because we never matter. I remember hearing them say that, and one of the teachers during the dreaded IEPs was mad because I said she was crazy a few weeks to a month prior. Oops. Story 4, we got gassed. Reading these out of context, I know what the context is. If you don't know what the context is, this probably sounds very concerning, which just means you have to go watch the videos to find out. So the one detail I forgot for this one was after the school day got canceled for it, they had us wait in the gym for our rides to come pick us up. Somehow the shutter door managed to keep the gas out. For the rest of the school, it only took 3 to 5 class hours. Well, that's good. Glad no one else got trapped in this spy movie. Story 5, the horse. Wait, the marriage one? Okay, this one is like one of my favorite stories because it's just so weird. Genuinely one of my favorite stories I've read here. So for the details, remembered after posting it, but it was too late to add, was me and some former friends were talking after the class, and I asked why did he use me as an example? I definitely wonder why too. That was so random. And they'd speculated that the teacher thought I wasn't paying attention, and I was just in my bag. I couldn't find the briefing sheet in my backpack. But the other detail I want to share is no one made fun of me. No one was laughing. Even the students that weren't a judge or a lawyer weren't laughing. I know it wasn't funny at the time, but reading that is so funny. He really thought he did something. He may have even thought this will be funny. And then no one laughed. That's so embarrassing. Everyone looked at me confused, and then we all collectively looked at him confused. Oh, remember if this guy was like a jerk or not. Out of context of that, that's so, I feel bad. That would be so embarrassing. I'd probably quit and never teach again. I'd have to move across the country, change my name, because otherwise everyone's gonna know me as the horseman. Honestly, thank you for allowing me to share these. At first I was nervous, but it felt more easier to share the stories with other people, and because of this I want to share some of the fan fictions I've worked on. Yes! Or any currently working on. I still got a few more stories and clarifications to share, so yeah. Thank you everyone, and PocoMuses. Thank you! Well, those are some pretty good stories to read. I know this one wasn't specifically like a theme. These are just like some stories I came across Reddit that I'm like, oh, this would be cool to read, and got permission to read them, as I want to like be sure to do that these days. So once again, if you have any stories like these or any others you'd like to share you think would be fun for me to read and for us to chat about, email me or links in the description. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you're doing well, but if not, I hope this video has brightened your day at least a little bit and maybe learned something, because that's how we like to do it here. We like to keep it fun. We also like to chat about things that are good to chat about. Thank you so much for being here today. I appreciate you all with all my heart, and that will be it. Take care of yourselves and each other, and do your best to be a good human, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!